Kyle Green of Green Mortgage Team is going to tell us how a bad shift at Tim Hortons led to his over $110 million in assets mortgage brokerage. He's grown this large by creatively handling complicated portfolios that many brokers are afraid to touch. He's also going to share with us the top 3 mistakes real estate investors make. Kyle Green, welcome to Biz 1on1.
Thank you.
And creativity is not something that we normally associate with mortgages.
That's right. Yeah.
So talk to me about how creativity comes into being a mortgage broker.
Most people think that being an artist would be something that's creative, but actually being creative with numbers is something that I happen to be really good at. So an example would be somebody's car payment might be $400 a month, and the car might be 10 grand. If you throw that car payment onto the mortgage, you're actually going to be dropping the payment substantially. 100 grand on a mortgage is $400 a month. So it makes a really big difference by being able to change and actually pay off some of these debts and move it to a mortgage. Also, when you have a larger portfolio, I remember one of my first large deals I did, I had a client that came to me willing to pay obscene rates of something like 10%. We actually redid all 3 of his existing mortgages and saved him $4 grand a month. It was a crazy deal. I remember thinking, wow, it just squeaked by. Client didn't make a lot of income, and he's really, really happy to have everything solved, but it took some creativity to get done.
So it sounds like that's what motivates you, is getting people that don't go down to the bank and it's all smooth sailing.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Getting those people qualified and into a home, or moving up into their dream home.
Yeah.
When it's not as simple as it might look on the surface.
Especially when they don't think it's possible. When somebody comes to you and they're already defeated, that's where it's really empowering to be able to help those people.
So we talked about the Tim Hortons, or I did. I mentioned that you said it was a bad experience at Tim Hortons.
Oh, yeah,
I take it that you were working at Tim Hortons and you thought there's something else to life than this. No offense to anybody working at Tim Hortons.
Yeah. I just had a really bad day at Tim Hortons. So I was a supervisor. I did come to that fork in the road where, do I continue to do this and maybe be a regional manager in a certain amount of time, maybe 3 or 5 years, or do I find something different? And I remember at the time I had a macroeconomics teacher at college, and we were chatting after class one day, and he's talking to me about how his brother has a boat, a Porsche, a mansion, and I thought, what does your brother do? And he's a stockbroker. So that started getting me into the thinking about finance a little bit more. Anyways, that one fateful day at Tim Hortons, my employer gave me way too many trainees. I needed more help. Started calling from the bottom of the list. Nobody could come in that day except for the manager, and she came in. She was really choked that she had to come in on a Saturday. She wasn't happy about it.
To serve coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And she wasn't happy, and neither was I. And that night, I started went home, and I started applying everywhere. Did my resume and started looking for a new career.
Tell me about why people would use mortgage brokers, and what are mortgage brokers?
So the easiest way to explain what a mortgage broker does is we negotiate on your behalf and shop about 40 different lenders to find you the best rate and the best product. And then the lenders pay us for sending them the business. Instead of them having brick and mortar overhead of having a branch, paying salaried staff, paying marketing costs, and in general, the efficiency level at the branch isn't quite as good when you have a broker who doesn't get paid if they don't do business. So if the market turns, they're still paying for all that overhead staff, where brokers don't get paid unless they're actually producing business.
So you're basically out there selling the mortgages from all sources of capital. But you're not just representing one bank.
Correct.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it's like having an agent shopping on your behalf to get you the best, and it's always up to the buyer of the property to decide if they want to go with the deal.
Yeah.
So in your case, the more complicated or challenging the situation is, the better it is for you.
In general, yeah, because this is what I do all day long, every day. So I don't have to worry about how to do RSPs and RSP loans and things like that. I have an area of expertise. And the more challenging the deal is, if that's my niche, which is working primarily with real estate investors, is about 80% of my client base. That's an area that I really, really know. I know which lenders to go to. I know exactly how to get those deals done. And a lot of our colleagues inside the industry, if the client has more than 2 or 3 rental properties, they just have no idea what to do because that's the first situation they've dealt with like that in the last 3 years.
Okay, we promised our viewers on Biz 1on1 that Kyle is going to give us the top 3 mistakes that real estate investors make.
All right. Number 1, buy for cash flow, not speculation. We deal with this a lot where clients that haven't been educated on this topic, they go out, they say, oh, I'm going to buy 3 pre-sale condos, and when they're finished, they're going to be worth 100 grand more each, and I'm going to sell the contracts, and I'm going to make 300 grand investing in real estate. Buy for cash flow, as you mentioned earlier, it's a long-term hold. You need to make sure that you're putting money in your jeans every month, not having to pay into it. Because if you lose your job, you can't afford to pay into it.
Got it.
Number 2, surround yourself with people that specifically know investing in real estate. Your typical real estate agent does not say, hey, look at the property I found for you. Here's a list of all the cash flow, your anticipated appreciation, etc.
Tax implications, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly, and the tax implications are huge. So making sure you understand, the capital gains, what is a write-off, etc. Those are really important keys.
And number 3,
You jumped to number 3
the tax
first.
implication.
You did, yeah.
Oh, sorry. So there were 3, but I jumped in with the 3rd one.
That's right, yeah.
Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today on Biz 1on1.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your tremendous success, as you still look like a young entrepreneur to me.
Maybe
So
I am.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
You think you know The Brick? Sure, everyone knows The Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Wonder lives in you. It's the moments that capture you and make you feel alive, leaving you breathless, wanting more. Feed your imagination, because some things are worth dreaming about, and some things are worth living. Rediscover your wonder.
Shoveling snow in January and February is hard work. That's why there's Eden. Eden, the leader in on-demand cold weather snow removal and warm weather lawn care, makes it easy to request a professional and fully insured contractor to remove your snow right from your smartphone. Eden is designed for busy professionals, people with aging parents or physical limitations, snowbirds, and of course, people who just hate shoveling. Download the Eden app in the iTunes or Google Play Store today and enjoy 15% off your first job by using the promo code EdenTV.
Every time I come in, Chris always follows up with me, always asks me how my service was, if there's anything that they could have done better. He makes me feel really important.
You're not going to get treated better. The work done was awesome, but I thought that the personal touch and the service, Chris was always top-notch.
We've met new employees, and if I go back the next time, they know who we are. Whenever I take our cars in, I feel like I'm someone special. They treat me extremely well.
Using frequencies to program water or make electrical systems more efficient. It all sounds impossible, like science fiction, right? Our next guest, Percy of Verdant Technologies, is here to talk about how that is actually science fact and how we too can reach for possibilities. Of course, Ian is a possibilities coach to corporations and executive teams around the world. And he's going to give us tips on how to move from a problem-solving mindset to a possibility-thinking mindset and reveal some of how the new possibilities he's working on are going to impact the world. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Randy.
It's great to have you here. Actually, when I say it's great to have you here, I mean it in a very, very special way, because one of my biggest, I'm Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer.
Yep.
I am one of his biggest fans, and the
Super
first
guy,
book
wasn't he?
that came to me when on the start of my own spiritual journey was Your Sacred Self, and I'm looking off of your book from, this book was written 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And at the bottom of the front page, it says, sensational, applied spirituality in the workplace and beyond. A great contribution, Dr. Wayne W. Dyer.
He was quite a guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I really am super excited to have you here.
Thank you.
And I want to talk about what you do, which is out of your book. It's not what you do, it's where you're going and what you accomplish by
Yes,
what
indeed.
you do. And your whole career has been, you got an amazing story. But first, what are you working on right now? This sounds bizarre.
Oh, that science fiction stuff
Yeah.
you mentioned? Yeah, I've spent most of my career consulting and speaking in the corporate world, all over the world pretty well. But I got restless and began to look at what's going on out there that nobody sees or nobody's talking about. I don't have much patience for incremental change or just improving something. I want to do something that's way out on that edge that makes people say, come on, that's not even possible. And I came across a gentleman up here in Canada who had found a way over decades of research on how to combine specific frequencies and install those into solids, liquids, and gases. And when he did that, it changed the molecular structure of that target material, enabling it to do things it couldn't normally do.
Installing frequencies. Are we talking
Yeah.
about quantum physics type
We are
stuff?
talking about quantum physics, as a matter of fact. And I heard his story, and I thought, why doesn't he own half the world by now? But he's one of those brilliant, he's going to be in his little bungalow up north of Toronto, and he's going to die, and his kids are going to come along and say, what do we do with all the junk in the garage? And nobody will ever hear about this.
Wow.
And so I put a company, the Verdant Technologies, around him and said, how do we commercialize and scale this? Because it has such impact. So for example, Randy, we have a way of using specific frequencies to treat water used in crop irrigation. So all we're doing is changing the resonance of that water. And what it really does is it changes the molecular structure. It makes the molecule clusters much tighter and stronger, and that enables that water to be absorbed into the plant much faster and deeper. So you can literally increase your crop yield between 30 and 40%, cut your water back by a third, almost eliminate the need for chemicals. And there's just something magical about understanding how the energy of our world works, especially the energy of water. Water is the common factor in all of biology.
What's the name of the company again?
Verdant Technologies.
Verdant
as in lush and green.
Verdant Technologies. That's your company.
Yeah.
Someone watching this program right now, many of them might be going, oh, there's a whack job guy.
Exactly.
That's
I've heard that one
talking
before.
through his hat.
Yeah.
Other people might be watching going, this guy's onto something. You're raising money right now. You're looking for investors.
Yep.
So people can get in touch with you
Yeah.
and talk about that.
Very, very much. And if we could find an investor who also gets it,
Right.
it makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
And there are people like that. Not everybody that just thinks this is some craziness. The fact is, it's been studied for a long time.
Well, you've got the Biz 1on1 vibration happening here, and we'll see what
There you
happens.
go.
Just before I let you go, I've got to have you tell me one of your craziest, best stories from being on the road, speaking to companies and doing crazy things all through your. You've been around for a while.
Well, the one that comes quickest to mind was with quite a large insurance company, and I was trying to teach them about possibility thinking, working mostly with the sales gang, and they kept keeping their thoughts minimal. Like, well, we'll try for a 3% increase. I said, oh, come on, the universe can do much better than that. You see, and this is the thing we don't understand.
Yeah.
The universe has no more trouble giving you this than giving you this.
Exactly.
All right. So, after a while, somebody mockingly said at one of our sessions, well, why don't we put down $1 billion then? And everybody laughed. They came back the next day, and the guy said, I was thinking about that overnight. If we were to do this, this, and this, there's no reason why we couldn't do $1 billion. So we got the whole sales team understanding how our mindset our beliefs changed the real production of our work. And so they were hitting, sales coming from the heavens to them. And what I had not realized, because I had failed to get IT and underwriting and all those other parts of the system believing in the same way. They weren't buying that at all. So we had this fire hose coming in here, going into a little garden hose.
Wow.
And it really killed it.
Wow.
It really did. So the secret to an organization is, how do we get everybody lining the energy toward our highest possibilities? You do that, you are unassailable.
One of the things that Wayne Dyer taught me, and many other people of his ilk, which I put you in that category, obviously, and also Eckhart Tolle, and you were one of the first ones to get a pre...
Yeah, I met him and endorsed his book before it was even published in Vancouver. And I think, man, I didn't even know who he was,
Wow.
What a shame.
One of the things that I've learned in my own, 25-year, quote-unquote, spiritual journey is that the only thing that stops me in achieving whatever I could want to achieve is my own limitations on myself.
It's the way you think.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. We don't realize, this is the point I'd really like to make if we have the time. We don't realize that everything that will ever be possible is already possible. We don't make up this stuff. We hear it and see it and find it. It's floating through this room, right? And what we need to learn how to do is kind of get out of this mindset of just looking for problems and say, wait a minute, what the universe is trying to tell me something. It's trying to give me something. And when we begin to see what that possibility is and then begin to align the energy needed to make that into a reality, that's where the magic happens.
Magic. That's what I would call this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ian, Percy, really great.
Thank you, Randy, very much.
And of course...
You think you know The Brick? Sure, everyone knows The Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. That's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Every time I come in, Chris always follows up with me, always asks me how my service was, if there's anything that they could have done better. He makes me feel really important.
You're not going to get treated better. The work done was awesome, but I thought that the personal touch and the service, Chris was always top-notch.
We've met new employees, and if I go back the next time, they know who we are. Whenever I take our cars in, I feel like I'm someone special. They treat me extremely well.
Peter, who's outside?
That guy? I stole him the chainsaw this morning.
Players look at sports as a vehicle for earning big money, and which it is, and rightfully so. I mean, they put their bodies on the line. They got a great talent. They deserve it. There's no question about that. I think everybody gets caught up in hiring an agent. But I think it's more important for a young athlete to hire a financial advisor. Keep some of that money. Put it away. Invest it. Do the right thing with it. That's the kind of advice these young kids need right now.
Our next guest on Biz 1on1, Kirei Yasunori, was once an award-winning martial artist and coach. After retirement from that world, she, like yours truly, became kind of a couch potato. Once she turned 50, Kirei realized she had to change her life and get fit again. But the big box gyms and group exercise programs were not working for her. So she found a better way, and she built a business around it, Evolved Health. Today, she's going to share that story with us and her top 3 tips to get your best body ever. Kirei, perfect timing. I need to get my best body ever. So this Evolved Health has evolved out of your own personal story, I take it.
Yes, yes, it has, Randy. As you said, 50. Turned 50.
That's amazing. And I asked you before we went on air if it's okay we say you're 50, because obviously you do not look 50. So it's a badge of honor.
Well, thank you. But when I was 50, I was starting to feel 50. And I had been an athlete. I thought, well, this isn't going to happen to me. But sure enough, I discovered that I too needed to work out just like everyone else. And as you said, I went to these gyms with 12 TVs and loud music. And I just found the atmosphere was not what I felt like was conducive to being healthy and fit. My background, of course, is martial arts. I'm used to something really purposeful, breathing, posture, presence. So these gyms didn't work for me, and the group exercises. So I discovered this wonderful way of exercising. A friend introduced me to a studio down in the US where they do slow motion weightlifting.
The 15-minute workout. Now,
Yes.
the theory is that you can do this once a week for 15 minutes and you're going to be in the perfect shape as you are?
Well, okay. Yes, it's 15 minutes. It's once a week. And it's not a theory, actually. It's very tested out. These studios have been around for over 20 years. And when you work your muscles to a level of deep exhaustion by going slow motion on machines, you then require that week of rest in order to actually make the adaptive change that we're looking for, which is...
But we are literally talking about 15 minutes once a week.
Yes.
Now, if you actually have, like this sounds too good to be true, but if you actually have the exercise program 15 minutes once a week, that's got to be so marketable, because now you've told me that people come in their street clothes and do it.
Yes, yes, you are correct. That's another feature. We keep our studio very cold because you perform better when you're a little bit cold. So you are honestly in and out of there in 15 minutes. You haven't even sweat.
So you literally don't need to take a shower afterwards or whatever?
No.
This is unbelievable. Now, before we get more into this 15-minute workout and kind of the results that people are having with it,
yes.
Your own personal story, it is fascinating that you were like a top-level martial arts, like instructor, black belt, the multiple black belt, whatever it is.
Yes.
And yet, even for an athlete like you, you get to that into your 40s, 50s, and things start changing.
Absolutely. And this is what we address through our exercise. One of the main reasons that our health starts to decline after age 25, really, is that we're losing muscle. We lose about 5 pounds of muscle every decade as we age after 25. And that has a huge significance in why our health is declining. And so our studio is focused on, first of all, rebuilding and then sustaining that lean tissue, which is in so many ways so protective to our joints. It affects our blood sugar. Of course, it's metabolically active tissue.
So we're talking with Kirei Yasunori from Evolved Health, and we promised also, just before we go, for you to share with us your top 3 tips for a fantastic, healthy body.
Great, sure. Tip number 3 is...
Well, we're going to count them backwards.
Oh, of course,
Fantastic.
Yes. Much more suspense that way. Tip number 3 is make goals that are behavior goals. So we all need to work the basics, right? I come from the martial arts world, the basics. So the basics are all the choices you make every day. So it's about getting 8 hours sleep a night. It's about drinking lots of water, making your choices to make the healthy food choices, eating real food. And those are the sorts of goals you actually want to make, because the goal to lose 30 pounds is pretty meaningless. But the goal to take a deep breath before every meal, chew and put my fork down, and those sorts of small behaviors, over time, those are what build a healthy lifestyle and a healthy body. And those are measurable goals where we can celebrate and have success, whereas I need to lose 50 pounds is a setup for failure.
Okay.
Okay, so the goal setting is really important.
That's number 3.
That's number 3. Number 2 is we have an inner critic. And we really want to make peace with that inner critic. In fact, we want to go beyond that and transform that inner critic into our inner coach, cheerleader, champion.
So you're talking about that voice inside your head that gives you the gears
Yes.
when I have a chocolate bar.
Yes, or anytime, really.
Right.
Just very critical. And that negative, that self-recrimination can actually trump so much of your health efforts. It's actually essential to build that relationship with yourself. And that voice then turns into almost a nurturing, caring, soothing parent voice that's, you're doing great, you're doing fine, everything's okay. And truly, even that soothing voice, in order to reset your nervous system and put you on the positive path.
Wow. Now, number one, those are two good tips. This number one must be really good. Join Evolved Health.
That's it. Done. Yeah, number one is lift heavy weights slowly until you can't lift them anymore.
Okay.
On an infrequent basis.
Which is what so that is what Evolved Health is.
Yes.
And you've just got it set up so that it's fun and easy, and it's a lot easier to do it when you've got someone coaching you to, it's right in your ear helping you to get, to break down that muscle. Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on Biz 1on1, Kirei. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
You think you know The Brick? Sure, everyone knows The Brick is the place for the guaranteed lowest prices on home furnishings. But do you know how we do it? Buying power, that's how. The Brick has over 200 locations across Canada, with over 7 million square feet of showrooms. That means we buy a lot of stuff from all over the world. And the more we buy, the more you save. The Brick. Saving you more. That's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Want help from someone who cares? PDC Chartered Accountants, the approachable guys who care about you and your business.
Shoveling snow in January and February is hard work. That's why there's Eden. Eden, the leader in on-demand cold weather snow removal and warm weather lawn care, makes it easy to request a professional and fully insured contractor to remove your snow right from your smartphone. Eden is designed for busy professionals, people with aging parents or physical limitations, snowbirds, and of course, people who just hate shoveling. Download the Eden app in the iTunes or Google Play Store today and enjoy 15% off your first job by using the promo code EdenTV.